الحجاب فريضة من ربنا المنان يا أختنا بالله لا يغفي.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear sister, welcome to another episode of our ongoing series, Sister to Sister, where a group of sisters discuss issues pertinent to the Muslim woman in the 21st century. On my right, I have Sister Mwana Kinja, and I have Fartun Hussein on my left. So I'll start by sharing what happened to me this past week, I went to one of these leafy, posh 5-star hotels, and I was meeting with a customer. So I flipped through the menu, and a cup of tea was going for around 400, which is like give or take $4, 400 bob. That same week, where I work, there's a kibandanski, mama ntilie, you know those
small
low
kiosk,
income,
small kiosk
hotels.
Yes.
And I was really hungry, so I wanted to get a cup of tea. And I go there, the tea is almost 20 times cheaper. It's like 20 bob, right?
Mm-hmm.
So subhanallah, you realize there's that conflict in the pricing of the same product that does the same thing. And this leads to what I wanted us to discuss today, which is the concept of worth, but specifically in the terms of a woman's worth. So obviously there's no price tag on a woman's worth like on a cup of tea.
Definitely no.
But there's a lot that experience showed me. It showed me, for example, that worth is subjective because it's the same tea, right? But in the 5-star hotel, it goes for almost 20 times the price, right?
Yeah.
So there's that subjective worth, and maybe you could expound on what you see from this, the first one.
You might even discover the tea that you had in your neighborhood where you work is even much better, tastes better than the other one, right?
Yes.
So when you talk about a woman's worth, it's more of the worth she derives from her inner self. Like where does your worth come from as a Muslim woman? Yeah, does it come from your degrees? Does it come from the money you have? Does it come from your kids? Does it come from your marriage? Like where does it actually come from?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe worth is both internal and external. Internally would be more spiritual and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then externally would be more of confidence.
Yeah. Like already Allah created us for a purpose, right? And from that, you know that you're already enough. You don't need, you're already enough. You've been created in the best form. You've been created by Allah, right? You're in this world to serve a purpose. So knowing that as a Muslim woman already puts you in an advantage place.
Exactly. And we're very much brainwashed and bombarded by adverts telling us, if you look a certain way, if you have a certain skin shade, if you have a certain body type, then your worth is tied to that. And of course, there's been backlash to it, but still, it's something that has been deeply ingrained in society. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's metrics are different.
Definitely.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's metrics are objective, right? The cup of tea is subjective, right? But the worth of the dunya and everything in it, in the sight of Allah, is what? The wing of a mosquito? It's objective. It doesn't depend on which way you look at it. In the sight of Allah, this entire world is what? Equivalent to the wing of a mosquito. So for me, I would say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, in the Quran, He says, and know that Allah is Al-Aziz Al-Hakim. Al-Aziz, the source of all honor, right?
Yes.
In Surah Al-Munafiqun, when the Munafiqeen said, the person with more honor will take out the person with less honor, and subhanAllah, they were trying to undercut the Rasulullah alayhi salam. But Allah said, Izzah, honor, and all sources of honor belong to Allah, His Messenger, and the believers, right?
Yeah.
So for Allah, it's the metrics are completely different, right?
Yeah, and knowing that will make you, knowing that, like you've mentioned, all of this, the izzah and the honor comes from Allah. You already know that. Knowing that will help you navigate and go through life easily, because you will still meet people who will tell you, oh, you're not this, the ideal height. You're not the ideal shade. You will meet that. Nobody's telling you you're exempt from being told, oh, we wanted this. There's all these society standards. The society standards will always be there. And you might even feel rejected from work, maybe business, maybe marriage proposal, or all these things. But at the end of the day, when you have that inner, like she mentioned, it's internal and external. Inner meaning that, oh, I know Allah created me in the best form. I am enough. I am worthy of love and belonging. And then outer is when the confidence. Now, the confidence you derive from what? Not maybe material things, right?
Yeah.
It could be you can enhance the way you package. That cup of tea that's more expensive, it's been packaged in a way that is enticing, in a way that it looks good, or the way, the ambience where you're taking it, you could have a view right there, and all of that. So for you as a Muslim woman, you can, knowing already you're worthy, right?
Yes.
That's undeniable. Then what can you do to just navigate through the world?
Exactly.
Sure,
Allah.
actually. And say one thing, it's the showing up of the tea that made it worth the 400 shillings.
Yeah.
The confidence of the seller, and leave alone the packaging and stuff. You can go to a low-end restaurant and they have nice mats and stuff, but you will not feel the urge of you paying more. You'll feel like, no, these people, they deserve less. Why? It's because this person has not even presented themselves in a way that they are worth that money.
Presentation.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I have an experience. I sell clothes, and I sell Mtumba clothes. So sometimes I get a new cloth and I get a second-hand cloth.
Yes.
But the price tag that I'm going to put on the second-hand cloth will sell more than the new one. Why? Because I have put all my confidence in that.
Yeah.
Like when a customer comes, the way I'm going to present that, they will feel like they don't need to buy the new one. They can pay us thrice, even 5-10 times more to this, something that has already been worn by someone else. Because the way you present yourself, we can talk about having that inner confidence from Allah, but we can't really shut whatever is happening outside.
Yes.
And whatever the society wants us to be, and how maybe the package, that the expectations of how confident you should be, or what will really make you be confident, we can't really shun that. But what can we do to fit that and still be compatible with whatever is inside us?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think it is in Surah Al-Isra, He says that He has favored some of us over others, and that's just a fact. There's someone who's homeless on this same planet, and there's someone who owns an island on the very same planet. So you see, there are disparities. But those disparities, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gives this person, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who doesn't give the other person, right? As a test. But in the akhirah, whatever daraja we get is what we worked for. How hard did we work for the mercy of Allah, right?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
the mercy of Allah, the harder you worked to become closer to Allah, the higher honor and the higher sense of self-worth that you have, right? So an example of this is, subhanAllah, the wife of Pharaoh, right? She was married to the wealthiest, most honorable, according to human standards, person alive at that time, right? She was his wife. She lived in the palace. She had all the servants, everything like you would think of as being something of worth, that gives you honor and that gives you dignity and all these things in this world. And obviously, we can also assume she must have been beautiful, because powerful men generally, they like to be with the most beautiful women. It's just a general statement, right? But she gave all of that up for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah honored her by mentioning her in Surah Al-Tahrim, right? Yes, in Surah Al-Tahrim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He honored her and He mentioned her, and He said that as an example has been struck for you in, sorry, let me get it. You know, it's one of those things you don't guess. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا امْرَأَةَ فِرْعَوْنَ إِذْ قَالَتْ رَبِّ ابْنِ لِي عِندَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ وَنَجِّنِي مِنْ فِرْعَوْنَ وَعَمَلِهِ وَنَجِّنِي مِنَ الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ. She said, Allah says, He strikes an example for those who believe, right? She's a woman, and she's the example for men, believing men and women, since the time this ayah was revealed. Those are billions of people, right? SubhanAllah. And why did she get this honor? What did she say? She said, "Oh my Lord, build for me with you a house in Jannah. Like, I want to be with you," right? And Allah is the source. So the closer you are to the source, the more of that you have, right? Allah is the source of honor. The closer we are to Allah, the more honor that we have.
Definitely. You both of you said something that was stuck with me about the work. You said doing things that gets you closer to Allah, the actions that get you closer to Allah. She also talked about gaining confidence, being that seller who puts quality, like you add quality into something.
Yes.
So as a Muslim woman, you need to add quality to yourself, right?
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be that I'm wearing expensive shoes or I'm putting on makeup or this, but you can, wake up, read your Quran, read books, cultivate your mind and help people do this kind of positive things, and investment in enhancing your character, your personality, in interacting with others, so that tomorrow when you go for that job interview and you're told you didn't get this job, you're not crushed and you're not like saying, oh, my life is over. You've seen a lot of people who go to these talent shows. You've seen these talent shows, maybe for comedians, for musicians, for storytellers on stage. And some of these presenters, they are so mean to them. They tell them, like, you can never sing at a place, you can never do this, don't ever do that. And these people, they go and they find a way to become big people, like become change makers in their industry, whether it's business, it's arts, it's So
let's hold that thought.
Yeah.
And inshallah give our sisters a chance to go grab a cup of coffee or popcorn, and we'll be back after the break. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear sister. I hope the break was as refreshing for you as it was for us. Welcome back. We pick off where we left off, right? Where we were just discussing basically a woman's worth in the 21st century. And Sister Fartoon was speaking about the fact that there are things that we can do, right, to increase that capacity. And someone has had something to add on that.
Yeah, okay. I just remembered that, value is perception. And literally perception changes. I remember one of my lecturers back in school, he told us that, see, today when we see gold, we really, really value gold. Like, you see if someone comes up and they're all in gold, they're like, oh my God, this person is high end and stuff. But do you know the reality of gold was, gold in the US now, when the whites were coming in, the Red Indians were there. And they had gold. Like, gold was just lying on the riverbeds and everywhere, right? So this white man was, when they came and they requested to be, to be hosted with the locals there, one of them had a mirror. So in the morning he wakes up and he was looking at himself. And I think there was a lady who saw him doing that. And because they were not speaking the same language, so she just offered, like, let me see what you're having. And for the first time she saw herself, like, not through the river water or, a reflection of like an ice or something. It was an equipment, something like, it was an innovation like they've never had.
Yeah.
So they asked for this innovation. What could we give you in exchange for you to give us this? And the whites were like, just give us the gold. These stones just lying here, you can take all of them. So with that, we see that the value that the Red Indian had, looking at the mirror, was like, wow, this is magnificent, this is big, this is something that I've never seen before. And then to the whites, they were like, this is gold, like, this is everything, this is money. So value will always be changed, like, it will always change, it will keep changing. So you today, if let's say the society says that, like, being light skinned is the in thing, oh my God, you show up and you're not light skinned, but you're confident and you have accepted yourself, everybody changes, like, oh, black is beautiful.
Now black is beauty. Now in 2022,
black is beauty.
Everybody wants to be very dark, actually, very dark.
People are tanning their skins and stuff.
Yes.
Because the thing is, like you just said, right? Value is perception, and perception changes. But the most attractive quality is when you're confident. You can have what society perceives to be beautiful, but if you don't radiate that inner confidence, it doesn't tally.
And that's the point. The inner confidence is the main thing. Like, your words should be inner.
Exactly.
Inner confidence. I agree with the inner confidence, because there is fake confidence. There is fake confidence, the kind that is shallow, that's surface,
bravado.
that's projected in the way you talk, in the way that you show up. But then if somebody says something very something off to you, right, you shatter, you break down. If somebody takes away your job, if your marriage falls apart, things that you were maybe deriving worth from, you might find yourself breaking down if your inner worth is not intact, your inner confidence is not intact. It doesn't mean if you're going through a divorce, you're not going to grieve, or if you've lost something like your job, grief will always be there. But the confidence being inner, and the outer one, which is more like fakeness, because it's, have you noticed a lot of people talk about something called something syndrome, imposter syndrome. A lot of people who talk about imposter syndrome is you're projecting something, you're projecting an aura, you're showing people, this woman, she's like this, she's like this, she's like this. Then your inner world, like your private life, is in shambles. You don't have it together. There's no connection between you and your Allah. There's no connection between you and yourself. You don't have good relationships around you, friends, family. But out there, you're this great person, and then you see people suffer from something called imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
They cannot
Yeah,
they
they
cannot
can't.
connect the two personalities.
And you see, the problem is these people are basing their worth on externalities, right? It's
Yes.
like, how does society perceive me? If they perceive me to be on a pedestal, then I'm on a... They have such fragile egos that if they even think you don't hold them on that high pedestal that they have placed themselves, then they crumble, right? And it's again, like you said, it's inner, right? It's having like you do. It's as if you don't have a backbone. Like you can't stand up straight. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, the way a puppet, it has to be held up, right? And if the puppeteer is not holding it up, it just crumbles because
Yes.
it doesn't have a backbone, and that's what happens. So a woman's worth has to always radiate inside out, because society will always have its assumptions, they'll always have their perceptions, their biases. But if you're always monitoring what is the standard of beauty today, oh, it's having this kind of body, I'm going to have that. What happens when that body is not in vogue?
You know, I was actually thinking when you're talking like that, I'm like, we don't change during rainy seasons and sunny seasons. Like the world will always change. It's like weather. But by the end of the day, you as a human being, if it's rainy season, I'll wear a raincoat. If it's sunny season, then, I'll walk with an umbrella. You will protect yourself all throughout the seasons because it's you. So if you feel like you can be changing during those seasons, then how will our lives be?
Subhanallah,
Like if we need to be different people in each season. So when your confidence is inner, that means like whatever is happening externally will not have an effect on you.
You know,
Exactly.
subhanAllah, you just reminded me of something. And this is, I think the scholars discuss it, the circular nature of the Quran, where this part builds on another, and then like you'll find something in Baqarah that reminds you of something in another ayah, so in another surah. So subhanAllah, you said the way we clothe ourselves depending on the seasons. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلِبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. And the clothing of taqwa, that is the best, right?
Wow.
And in the same vein, Allah says, إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. Indeed, the most honorable, the most dignified amongst all of you, men and women, is the person with the most taqwa. So when you clothe yourself with taqwa, and what is taqwa? Doing everything Allah loves and avoiding everything that He dislikes, and placing a barrier between yourself and the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which subhanAllah, it could be that when you read through the Quran, it even istighfar makes you from the people of taqwa, right?
Definitely.
Yes. So when you do that, when you clothe yourself with taqwa, it doesn't matter the seasons, the societal seasons that are happening, right? Because you're still firm, because you still have your sense of inner worth is, how is my relationship with Allah? How is my taqwa? So you don't, and alhamdulillah for the Muslim woman, first of all, most of these fashion trends don't faze us because we're already in hijab, Doesn't matter if my color is red or
But
my
your
hair color is red or
but your
not.
closet is full of
Colors.
all makeup,
Yeah.
You just buy it even if you don't wear it every day. You're like, there will be a
I
day
have-
you will
I
wear
have
it,
a
you
mug.
just, will crumble it. That leads me to, we as human beings, we will always be a slave. So you choose, either you're a slave of Allah or you're a slave to the creation. So when you're a slave to the creation, today they'll tell you, the light skin is in, everybody's bleaching their skin.
Yeah.
And tomorrow dark skin is in, people will have things, maybe even injections, people will be.
Yeah.
And tomorrow they'll say this. But at the end of the day, are you going to the gym to show people that, you have this killer body? Or you're going to the gym because you care about your health and you want to be in good shape to worship Allah, to give to the community, to show up for your family, to show up for your kids? Are you eating healthy to show off to people, or you're eating healthy for a purpose? Like every action that you do, what's the intention behind it? The intention behind it, if it's to please Allah, then whatever people are doing or whatever people say to you will not get to you. And when Allah, your goal is to please Allah, Allah will love you. You will seek His love. He will love you, and He'll put the love of the people, that matter for you, to Him. in your life. So it will be like you have your community, so whatever the rest say, oh, this girl, she just dresses like this, she's always wearing black, I don't know, she's the CEO of this company, but this is how she's dressed, she doesn't care. But that will never get to you.
Do you know that has changed ever since Suluhu became president? Yeah. I remember one of my clients, she came, she's like, I didn't know that you people would actually become leaders one day.
See?
Especially with your hijabs on. And I was like, we've been leaders all through. We're just waiting for the right time to,
Yes.
And she was like, and even the way Corona has changed the perception of niqab.
Exactly.
All of a sudden it's accepted. Yeah, like you go anywhere, like those places, like they'll tell you, oh, remove that and stuff. And you're covered and no one is asking you anything.
Yeah.
So imagine if we rely on how all these changes are just, like every day there's something new. And then your life is just based on, if this is happening, I'll go with that flow. You'll even be confused.
Yes, absolutely. When you don't have a coherent sense of self that is based on unwavering concepts, then you will always, who are you always becomes, what's my worth? Oh, do I have a man in my life, or do I have kids? Do my girlfriends like me? Do I have a job? Do I have money in my bank account? All these things, actually it's called there's a, I forget the word, is it a constructive and a destructive sense of self? But this idea that your sense of self-worth should be based on facts that do not change, immutable things that don't change, that are not seasonal, right? So subhanallah, I think as we wrap up, what would you say in one sentence would be your advice to the sister who's watching and is struggling with accepting or understanding her worth?
I would advise any sister to, like, if you really want to know yourself, you know yourself from what Allah accepts from you. Because by the end of the day, us living in this dunya, it's so temporary that the only real thing is the meeting of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is one thing that really matters. So every day, maybe when you wake up in the morning and you're looking at yourself in the mirror, the first recognition is, I am a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah makes no mistake. He's the perfect one. So I am perfect because I am from who? From Allah. And from that, you will walk out through your day knowing that whatever happens to me, Allah has already done what?
He has me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So He got my back.
Yeah. I would say, the world is there to tell us who to be, right? And unless we decide and know like who you really are, I say, who am I? Every day when I wake up, I ask myself, like, who am I? What do I stand for? What is valuable to me? What do I value? And I live my life in a way that is aligned with who I am. That will communicate to the world. The world cannot tell you who to be if you know who you are.
Absolutely.
But you will always be told who to be, right? And then to ask Allah for that steadfastness, right? Because you'll always waver, you'll always go this way, go this way. But then there's that stability, and then you're like, oh, Allah, keep me steadfast. And I think, we're not looking for perfection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dear sister, the world cannot tell you who you are if you already know that you're the servant of Allah, Al-Aziz, the source of all honor, the source of all worth. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.